Although the unemployment rate bumped up in April, which is actually understandable, job growth was below expectations as temporary help services declined for the second consecutive month. The unemployment rate incrementally rose a tenth of a percentage point to 6.1% in April from March. However, it was 14.8% in April 2020 as the pandemic's effect on the unemployment rate hit with full force. The labor force grew by 430,000 in April, and there were 328,000 more employed persons, but also 102,000 more unemployed persons. The workforce participation rate rose 0.2 percentage points, while the employment to population ratio ticked up a tenth of a percentage point. Those considered as not in the labor force declined by 330,000. Simply stated, more people are returning to the workforce and to jobs, but since not all of them can secure a job immediately, the unemployment rate bumped up. The economy grew by only 266,000 non-farm jobs in April compared to an increase of 770,000 in March. Some experts were expecting 1 million or more jobs, which was really way too optimistic. The private goods producing sector contracted by 16,000 jobs in April after adding 166,000 in March. A year ago, in the dark April 2020, it lost 2,378,000 jobs. Manufacturing, which appears to be suffering from supply issues, was down 18,000 in April after increasing by 54,000 in March. The construction sector, which was on a massive build in March with the addition of 97,000 jobs, was flat in April, perhaps because the sector could not find workers to hire. However, mining and logging was able to fill 2,000 more jobs in April, even after increasing by 15,000 in March. The private service providing sector continued to add jobs to the tune of 234,000 in April, although the song was not quite at the volume it had in March when it added 542,000 jobs. A year ago, it was really singing the blues with the loss of 17,353,000 jobs in April 2020. The retail trade sector contracted by 15,300 jobs in April after adding 32,800 in March. A year ago, in April 2020, it reduced its inventory by 2,248,300. The professional and business services sector decided it did enough hiring and declined by 79,000 jobs in April after adding 67,000 in March. A year ago, in April 2020, it was down 2,236,000 jobs. Computer systems design and related services continued to improve with the addition of 6,200 jobs in April, which was only slightly less than the 6,500 it added in March. The private education and health services sector was essentially unchanged with a decline of only 1,000 jobs in April. Home health care services took a step backwards with a decline of 6,700 jobs in April after supplementing its job count by 5,100 in March. The leisure and hospitality sector continued to bulk up with 331,000 more jobs in April than in March when it added 206,000. A year ago, in April 2020, it fell by 7,442,000 jobs. The total number of government jobs was up 48,000 in April. The federal government was up 9,000 jobs. State government was up a total of 7,000 jobs, and local government was up 32,000 jobs, mainly due to increases in education in both state and local government. Temporary help services with a total of 2,648,600 jobs in April continued on a downward trend with a decline of 111,400 jobs in April, and that calculates to a 4.0% decline from March. We repeat our question from last month. Could temporary help services be suffering from a similar malaise as the housing market and other sectors, which are suffering from a shortage of inventory, and for temporary help, that includes available workers? But it's still encouraging to see that the sector is up more than 36%, with 701,800 more jobs in April 2021 than in April 2020. In April 2021, temporary help services market share, that is its portion of all jobs, dipped to 1.8354%, down from 1.9161 the previous month. A year ago, in April 2020, it was at a nadir of 1.4957%, and 2 years ago, in April 2019, it was 1.9616%. The slight rise in the unemployment rate is not a cause for alarm yet. Average hourly earnings were up an alarming 21% if the alarm bell is attached to an inflation indicator. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the large increase in wages suggests that a rise in demand for labor associated with the recovery from the pandemic may have an upward pressure on wages. Well, that's an understatement. But the rise in wages doesn't seem to be doing the trick, as we are hearing from at least one employer tell us, nobody will go to work. This has been Bruce Steinberg, and this is just a brief sample of the employment data and analysis we provide. A video version of this report with detailed charts and tables can be found at www.steinbergemploymentresearch.com.